I just want to give a shout out to my boyfriend Glenn, who came with me to see Phantom Thread, a Paul Thomas Anderson film, one of the most fanciful and artistic directors working in cinema today. And I told him we were going to be in for something pretentious, there wasn't going to be any bombs or Michael Bay explosions or special effects, and he came along anyway, so thank you, babe. This is my impression of Glenn during the third act of Phantom Thread. I'm sorry, babe. I love you. But to Glenn's defense, this film was kind of boring. Gasp! Luke's about to shit on a Paul Thomas Anderson film. One that's also up for Best Director and Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Please be nice, internet. Don't make me do a Cersei.
Shame. Shame.
Hey guys, so today's topic of discussion is the new film Phantom Thread, which is written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, the director of Boogie Nights and There Will Be Blood. Now, if I'm being completely honest, the only reason I went to see this film is because it's a Best Picture nominee for the Academy Awards. And I wanted to see all 9 of the Best Picture nominees before I did my Best Picture predictions video. If it hadn't gotten the nom, I probably wouldn't have even bothered, because when I saw the trailer for this, I didn't really get too excited for it. I was like, oh, it's a story about a dressmaker and his muse. Okay. But I thought, fuck it, it's Daniel Day-Lewis's last performance before he retires from acting, so I might as well go see it and see what the fuss is about. This film is essentially about a fictional dressmaker called Reynolds Woodcock, who's played by Daniel Day-Lewis, and his relationship to this waitress who he then chooses to be his next muse, who's called Alma, and she's played by Vicky Krieps. This film explores the shifting power dynamic between the two of them, and it always seems to be in a state of flux because they're simultaneously close but distant, and that's basically all there is to the plot. I don't mind Paul Thomas Anderson's work, but I don't get overly excited when I find out he's releasing a new film, because there are some films that he's made which I do really enjoy, like There Will Be Blood and Boogie Nights, but then there's a few others which are highly regarded, but I just didn't enjoy, like Inherent Vice. So with his work, I can kind of take it or leave it, and with Phantom Thread, I would say I came out of this film just completely unaffected by it. I can appreciate certain elements of it, like Paul Thomas Anderson's direction is very crisp and elegant, he makes really good use of the space. The costumes, of course, are divine, which is very fitting because this is a film about a dressmaker, and the performances are very good too. Daniel Day-Lewis's final performance as Reynolds Woodcock actually feels quite reserved and closer to home compared to his previous roles. Leslie Manville, who plays Woodcock's sister Cyril, is a treasure too. She has less to do than Daniel Day-Lewis or Vicky Krieps, but her presence is still felt even when she's not on screen. And this is my first time watching Vicky Krieps perform, but she completely holds her own against such heavyweights like Daniel Day-Lewis and Leslie Manville. I would definitely like to see more of her work in the future. So for the first half of this film, I was pretty absorbed by the story. I really liked watching the romance blossom between Alma and Reynolds. But somewhere around the halfway point, I just found myself getting bored. I just didn't think there was that much interesting happening watching this couple like squabble. And by the third act of this film, I just found myself completely detached from it because it just seemed to drag on. This film is about 2 hours long, but it felt so much longer than that. And there's a scene towards the end of this film which just left me flummoxed, and I won't spoil it for you, but it's to do with an omelette. Oh yes. And how Alma and Reynolds behave in this scene is just so peculiar. Not in an intriguing way, but in an awkward way, like it just doesn't make sense. It goes against everything about them as characters, and the outcome of this scene just doesn't feel deserved. It's supposed to be this big moment where the characters embrace the dark side of their relationship in order for Reynolds to be productive with his work and also to save the relationship. The problem for me is that it just doesn't add up, and it feels like a weirdly convenient way to finish the story for these characters. Was it just me? Am I too obtuse to get what Paul Thomas Anderson was going for here? It's resolutions like this that make it feel like such a pretentious film, and that's where it loses me. I do like films that make you think, but this just feels like a finale that's being artsy for the sake of being artsy. To conclude, guys, I get why critics would like this film, okay? It's very decorous and refined, but this film just isn't for me, sadly. It's gracefully shot and it's pretty to look at, and the performances are good all around, but like I said before, I was just kind of bored with this film. Maybe it's just a bit too highbrow for me. But would I recommend that you go and see it? Well, no, I wouldn't say it's a film that you need to go and see, but if you're a fan of Best Picture nominees and you want to go see it, then yeah, go see it. But be warned, yeah, you're in for a bit of a pretentious film. It's kind of basic and there's not a whole lot going on. It's definitely not a bad film, it's just not a film that I particularly enjoyed. and I'd probably say it's my least favourite of the Best Picture nominees this year. So guys, I'm going to give Phantom Thread a 4.5 out of 10. Am I being too harsh? I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that love this film, but yeah, it just wasn't for me. But if you have seen Phantom Thread, be sure to let me know what you think of it in the comments section below. Be sure to check out my Oscar prediction vids there and there. And if you guys like these videos, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching, guys. For more things related to movies, TV, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Airfield, and I'll see you next time.